Imagine this. You finally fall asleep after a long day. You had work, messages, noise, errands, and maybe a few problems you did not have the energy to solve. But now the lights are off, the room is quiet, and for the first time all day, your mind is starting to relax. Then suddenly the neighbor's children start running and shouting outside your window. You wake up. You lie there for a few seconds thinking, are they really doing this now? And the next day, when you try to explain what happened in English, you say, the children interrupted me all night. A native speaker understands the basic idea. Something happened and it affected you, but the sentence does not feel quite right. Not because the grammar is impossible, not because the meaning is completely unclear, but because English has another word that fits that situation much better.
And that word is disturb.
Right. The children did not really interrupt you in the usual sense. They disturbed you. They disturbed your sleep, your quiet, your peace. And that difference is exactly what makes today's topic useful. Hello, I'm Teacher Sammy.
And I'm Jonathan.
This is English in Asia, where we talk about how English is actually used in real life, not just how words are translated in a dictionary.
And today we're talking about 3 English words that learners often mix together: interrupt, disrupt, and disturb.
These words can all involve some kind of interference. Something is happening, and then something else creates a problem, but the kind of problem is different.
And that difference is not just a grammar point. It changes the feeling of the sentence.
Yes, a conversation can be interrupted, a train schedule can be disrupted, your sleep can be disturbed. Those are 3 different situations, even though all of them involve something going wrong.
I think one reason these words cause so much trouble is that learners often first meet them through translation.
Yes, and when several English words are translated into one similar word in another language, it becomes very easy to think the English words are basically interchangeable.
But native speakers don't feel them that way.
No, native speakers usually connect these words to different kinds of situations. When we hear interrupt, we often imagine something briefly cutting into an activity that was already happening. When we hear disrupt, we imagine the normal order of something being damaged or thrown off. And when we hear disturb, we often imagine peace, comfort, sleep, or emotional calm being affected.
So it's not enough to say they all mean something like bother or interfere.
Right, that would be too flat. The real difference is in the situation. If this kind of explanation is useful for you, subscribe. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments.
Let's start with interrupt, because that one is probably the easiest to imagine.
When something interrupts, there is usually something already happening. Then another thing suddenly cuts into it for a short time. The important part is that the original activity usually continues afterward.
So, a conversation is the classic example. 2 people are talking, and then a third person suddenly starts speaking.
Right, that person interrupts the conversation. Maybe they say, "Sorry to interrupt, but I need to ask something." That sounds natural because the conversation is already happening, and this person is stepping into it.
And after that, the conversation can continue.
Exactly. That point matters. Interruption usually has this feeling of pause, then continue. It can be annoying and sometimes it can be serious, but it often feels temporary.
Adult life is basically full of interruptions.
Unfortunately, yes. You are working on something that requires concentration and your phone rings. You are trying to write an email and someone asks you a quick question. You are in a meeting and someone's alarm starts playing from inside their bag.
Or you're teaching on Zoom and suddenly a delivery person rings the doorbell.
That interrupts the class. It does not destroy the class. It does not completely change the whole structure of the lesson. But for that moment, attention is broken.
That's a good way to think about it. Interruption breaks attention for a moment.
Yes, and this is why we also talk about interrupting someone's train of thought.
That's a useful expression.
Your train of thought is the flow of ideas in your mind. If someone interrupts your train of thought, you lose that flow. And sometimes you can't get it back easily.
That's painfully true. You can be in the middle of solving something, and then one message arrives, or one person asks something, and suddenly the whole mental structure disappears.
Exactly. So even a small interruption can have a big effect when someone is concentrating. This is one reason interrupt is such a useful word. It does not only describe speech, it describes anything that cuts into an activity, a thought, or a process for a moment.
And this is where learners sometimes hesitate, because several words may feel possible at first.
Yes, if someone answers the phone in the middle of a conversation, the natural word is usually interrupt. The phone call cut into something that was already happening.
This is the kind of example where the right word starts to feel obvious once you picture the situation clearly.
That's right. Someone was talking, something cut into the conversation, and then the conversation could continue. That is the basic feeling of interrupt.
But the next word is stronger. It is not just about something cutting in for a moment. It feels more serious than that.
Right, that brings us to disrupt. When something is disrupted, the normal order or normal operation of something is affected. It does not just stop for a moment. The structure, system, schedule, or normal flow is damaged.
So this is why we hear it with transportation.
Exactly. A storm can disrupt train service. An accident can disrupt traffic. A power failure can disrupt business operations. In those examples, we are not talking about one person being briefly stopped. We are talking about a system not working normally.
People may be delayed. Plans may change. Work may stop. Schedules may collapse.
Right, that is much bigger than an interruption. An interruption can be small. A disruption usually feels wider, stronger, and more serious.
Can we use disrupt for personal routines too?
Yes, and that is actually a very natural use. Moving to a new apartment can disrupt your routine. A sick child can disrupt your work schedule. A sudden family emergency can disrupt your plans for the week.
So the system does not have to be an official system like trains or computers.
Right, it can be the system of your life.
That's useful. Because people often think disrupt only belongs to big official situations.
It often appears there, but it can also describe ordinary life when the normal pattern gets thrown off. For example, if loud children wake you up one night, that disturbs your sleep. But if noisy construction continues for 3 weeks and you can't sleep, work, teach, or keep your normal schedule, that starts to disrupt your life.
So the first focuses on peace and rest. The second focuses on the larger pattern being affected.
Exactly. That's a very good distinction.
There is also the business use of disrupt.
Yes, that one became very popular. People talk about a company disrupting an industry.
Meaning the company changes the old system so much that the old way of doing things does not work the same anymore.
Exactly. Streaming disrupted television. Smartphones disrupted many older industries. Online shopping disrupted traditional retail.
And then every company wanted to say they were disrupting something.
Yes, sometimes honestly, sometimes dramatically.
Sometimes they just made a normal app and called it disruption.
Business English does enjoy big words.
A little too much.
Sometimes, but the reason the word became popular is clear. Disrupt suggests that the normal order has been changed strongly.
So if we compare it with interrupt, the difference is scale and effect.
Yes, if someone briefly cuts into your conversation, they interrupt it. But if something damages the whole structure of a meeting, a schedule, a system, or a routine, then disrupt starts to feel more natural.
A phone call can interrupt a meeting.
But a major technical failure can disrupt the meeting.
Because now the meeting may not be able to continue normally.
Right, that's the feeling.
Now, disturb feels much more personal.
Yes, disturb often connects to peace, comfort, sleep, quiet, privacy, or emotional state.
So this is where loud children are a very natural example.
Right. Imagine you are trying to rest after work. You are not in the middle of a conversation. You are not running a transportation system. You just want quiet. Then children outside start screaming, or someone upstairs starts dragging furniture across the floor. That disturbs you.
Because the problem is not just that an activity stopped.
Exactly. The problem is that your peace is affected.
And this is why hotels often have do not disturb signs.
Yes, that is a perfect example. Do not disturb means do not bother me, do not knock, do not enter, do not break my quiet or privacy.
It does not mean do not interrupt my meeting.
No, it means leave me in peace.
Disturb my sleep is probably one of the most common uses.
Very common. Noise can disturb your sleep. Bright light can disturb your sleep. Stress can disturb your sleep.
So if someone says, the noise disturbed me all night, that sounds natural.
Yes, it suggests the noise affected your rest and peace.
But the noise interrupted me all night sounds strange.
It does, because interrupt usually needs a clearer activity that is being cut into. You can say, the noise interrupted my sleep, and that is possible, especially if it woke you up several times. But disturbed my sleep is often the more natural choice because sleep is a state of rest.
That's a useful distinction.
Interruption focuses on stopping something or cutting into something. Disturbance focuses on making a peaceful state less peaceful.
And this is another moment where learners may choose the wrong word even though the basic meaning is understandable.
Yes, in noisy situations, disturb is often the word people need.
Noise is a good test case because it can be annoying in several different ways.
Yes, it might stop you from doing something. It might affect your schedule, or it might simply ruin your sense of quiet and rest.
And in the sentence about loud music all night, the strongest idea is that your peace was affected.
That is why disturb is the natural word there.
There's another use of disturb that feels more emotional.
Yes, when we say something is disturbing, we usually mean it makes us uncomfortable emotionally or psychologically.
Like a disturbing movie.
Right, or a disturbing news story. It does not mean the movie interrupted us, it means the content affected us emotionally. Maybe it was violent, frightening, upsetting, or deeply uncomfortable.
And disturbed can describe how we feel.
Yes, we can say, I was disturbed by the news. That means the news made me feel upset or uncomfortable.
And there's also the phrase mentally disturbed.
There is, but that should be used carefully because it sounds strong and can be negative. If you describe a person as disturbed, it may suggest serious emotional or mental problems.
So, not a casual word to throw around.
Definitely not. This is another reason disturb is different from interrupt and disrupt. It can go much deeper into emotional or mental reaction.
I think the most helpful way to remember these three is to connect each one to a kind of scene.
Yes, that works much better than memorizing short definitions.
For interrupt, I picture someone cutting into something already happening.
A conversation, a meeting, a thought, a show, a phone call.
And for disturb, I picture peace or emotional comfort being affected.
Sleep, quiet, privacy, calmness, emotional balance.
That makes the differences much easier to feel.
Exactly. Vocabulary becomes much easier when words are connected to real situations.
This is also why some learners can know a lot of English words but still choose slightly unnatural ones.
Yes, they know the dictionary meaning, but not the situation pattern.
And native speakers react to the situation pattern immediately.
Right. If you say interrupt, where disturb is expected, people may still understand you, but the emotional picture changes.
So the sentence lands differently.
Exactly. And that's why real vocabulary learning is not just learning a translation, it's learning what kind of situation the word belongs to.
So if someone cuts into your conversation, they interrupt you.
If a storm damages the normal train schedule, it disrupts the service.
If loud children ruin your quiet afternoon, they disturb you.
And if a movie leaves you emotionally uncomfortable, it may be disturbing.
Same general area of meaning, but very different feelings.
Yes, and that difference is what allows you to be more precise when using English.
Hey, tell us in the comments. What English words feel similar to you, but still difficult to separate? Those questions may become future episodes.
Thanks for listening to English in Asia.
We hope this helped you understand the difference between interrupt, disrupt, and disturb more clearly.
And we'll see you next time. If this kind of video is useful for you, please subscribe, and if you have a question, leave it in the comments.